We have a huge update on Canucks injuries, on the roster moves they made today, and on Jonathan Lekkerimäki joining Abbotsford. I'll get into all this later on in this episode, but before I start, I just want to say to the thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this daily Canucks news and you want to stay up to date with the Canucks, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button, as we'll be here all season long giving you an update from all around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Canucks make roster moves. Now, the Canucks PR did put out on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it today, that General Manager Patrik Allvin announced a roster management move today as Thatcher Demko has been placed on LTIR and Archie Baines has been recalled from Abbotsford. Rick Dolly did quote tweet this and say, "This means that Demko can't play until April 6th, which means there's more cap space in the meantime." Obviously, Thatcher Demko is out with an injury. There's been reports that he might be back soon, that he might make it back for playoffs. There is no set timeline for him, but with this happening, it's nothing to panic about. Obviously, he is being placed on LTIR, but it is to open up more cap space. He wasn't going to be back between now and April 6th, which would be next Saturday. So this was just to clear up the space to recall a guy like Baines and to give him more time to rest. Maybe we see him come back for the first game of the playoffs, but as of right now, we won't see him for sure for the next week. Now, talking about Baines coming up, why did they do this? And it leads into, once again, that Elias Lindholm is not on the ice as they got their practice done today. I know there was a lot of rumors, reports that he is injured. They haven't really talked about it much, and that a lot of people were speculating that the Calgary Flames traded an injured player to the Vancouver Canucks. But it seems like a lot of reports coming from Rick Dolly and other reporters is that this is a new injury and it had nothing to do with anything he dealt with in Calgary, that it wasn't something that they traded an injured player to Vancouver and then it just continued to linger on. It seems like something he did get while he played with the Canucks. Hopefully this was what slowed down his offensive production a bit, as it did take a dip when he got to Vancouver. Maybe this injury, and once he comes back, he will be completely healthy, but we're not getting many reports on it or updates at the moment. I could drop this video and we could get a report immediately, or this could come out tomorrow before the game. But either way, it seems like Lindholm will be out for a bit, and hopefully this recovery and time to rest will help pick his game up defensively. Like I said, he's been great, but offensively, it's been a lot less than we wanted. Now, there is another update, and this is definitely the biggest update and roster move, is the fact that Dakota Joshua is on the ice for practice wearing a full contact jersey. Now, obviously, Dakota Joshua has been out for some time now, but getting him back in this lineup is going to be huge. We've seen this third line be one of, and in my opinion, the best third line in the NHL. He looked outstanding next to a guy like Teddy Bluger, next to a guy like Garland, and just getting him back on this team is going to help so much with physicality, getting the guys fired up, and just adding a lot of toughness that the forward group kind of lacked a tiny bit, but it still has picked up a tiny bit. Now, the big thing is with this is, where does he fit in? Is Baines coming in? Is Joshua 100% back? They haven't reported that he's back. He did do an interview and said that he's hoping he's ready, but being in a full contact jersey, I can definitely see him coming off LTIR tomorrow, which is why Elias Lindholm is still out and maybe taking his spot, and this is why Thatcher Demko was ultimately put on IR, to get Joshua back and to call Baines back up. Now, when you do look at the lines from practice today, the big things with this is Dakota Joshua, JT Miller, and Boeser on this top line. In my opinion, this is just a perfect line. You have Miller, who's having one of the best seasons of his career, definitely his best as a Vancouver Canuck. Boeser's a 40-goal scorer. And getting Dakota Joshua into this line just adds more just physicality, more energy, more everything you want out of a line to help with this line even play harder against top competition. During the practice day, during the clips that people were posting, he looked outstanding on this line, and I think it's honestly very worthy of him to make this line after how well he's played this year. You see the second line or the first line, depending on how you flip these two. Hoglander, Pettersson, and Garland stay together. Mikheyev, Bluger, and Lafferty, and then you see Baines is still a scratch. The fourth line still around the same, and PDG is not in the lineup. You see the defense: Hughes, Hronek, Susie Myers, Zadorov, Cole, Friedman, Juleson as extras, and overall, we're starting to see the Canucks team finally get back to being healthy. The biggest things, obviously, to take from this is once again Elias Lindholm not being in the lineup, which is just a big what if. We don't know when he's going to be back, how long he's going to be out, what the real injury is, or what's going on. I know, like I said, there's a lot of speculation going around, but it seems like this was an injury he had dealt during the time with Vancouver Canucks, and hopefully he does get a speedy recovery, because getting him back in this lineup, especially if you just kind of put him into this third line, maybe you run Mikheyev with a guy like Lindholm and Lafferty, and then you can have Blueger to put down on the fourth. Overall, the Canucks are getting healthy. They look so much better. Dakota Joshua's back. He looked outstanding in practice on this line. And what's your thoughts on all of this as well? What's your thoughts on Thatcher Demko just being out for an extended period of time and going on LTIR? Like I said, it's nothing to worry about, as it's only a week if he does come back, but it seems like he's trending in the direction to be more time, so why not get the cap space? What's your thoughts with Baines coming up? Do you think he'll get into a game? Where would you want to see him in the lineup? And what's your thoughts on the return of Dakota Joshua? Are you happy he's on the first line? Would you rather see this third line just kind of get rejuvenated, get Blueger down there, get a guy like Garland back with him? Or are you happy he's getting his own line to kind of make his impact on again and to keep this Pettersson, Garland, and Höglander line as they've been so dominant? But let's get into the second topic today, which is Jonathan Lekkerimäki update. Now, obviously, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, we all knew he was coming over to North America. He was making his way over, but we do have a huge update regarding it. Jonathan Lekkerimäki says he will be with Abbotsford for 2 to 3 weeks. Before, there was a lot of reports coming out that he was only going to be with the team for 8 to 10 days. So seeing the 2 to 3 week timeline is definitely good for not only his development, but with the chances of getting to see him play with the Abbotsford Canucks and maybe getting some practice time with the Vancouver Canucks before he heads back to Sweden. It says here how he wasn't sure he'd get into the game this week, but the next step is the top prospect to get comfortable. Now, obviously, you don't know who Jonathan Lekkerimäki is. He is, in my opinion, the top prospect for the Vancouver Canucks. We've seen him dominate in the SHL. He was awarded one of the top players on Obro's team. We've seen him in the World Juniors. He got a silver medal. He had 7 goals, which was the tournament leader, and he also got an MVP in the tournament. So getting him over is just outstanding. And a lot of reporters were asking him questions. Apparently, Lekkerimäki does really like to answer things with yes and no, but people got some quotes out of him. It felt pretty good, said Lekkerimäki. They've welcomed me very well. I think the pace was high. I played with Baines, and I've met him before, so we chatted a bit, and the first practice was pretty good. Now, the big thing with this is obviously Baines got recalled, so he's not going to play with Lekkerimäki. But just overall, getting him up on this team, hopefully getting him on some action, getting him in. He was playing power play 2, playing around the second and third line. Getting him in with Elias Pettersson, DPD, having both these guys make their North American debut in the AHL. It's just going to be big for the development. It's big for the Canucks management to evaluate them, see where they need to go with them, and just to get a showcase of them. And like I said, if another injury happens, maybe we see Lekkerimäki called up to Vancouver, Baines gets in. If another injury happens, we might see him play for the Vancouver Canucks, especially if he makes an impact in the AHL. But it's only going to be the 2 to 3 weeks, as he needs to go back to Sweden for the championships. So what's your thoughts on this? Are you excited Lekkerimäki's back? Do you hope him and DP get into this lineup soon, maybe debut together? And what's your thoughts on either of them maybe getting a showcase with the big club? But with that, let's get into everyone's favorite topic today, which is comments of the day. And I kind of gave it away a second ago, but Breakaway Book says, great coaching is what took this core/team to the next level. Couple that with a keen eye in league talent from management, there was a lot of new faces this year, as there will be next. The teams more than exceed expectations. Tocchet's given them a true identity, and Foot's expanded that into the D-cores. The big thing with this is I can't agree more. This team was not a playoff team last year. Rick Tocchet came in, Adam Foote came in. There's so many new faces into this team, players, coaching staff, everything you can think of, and the team has just got better than we expected. And it does start with Tocchet's system and his coaching style. And what's your thoughts on this? Who do you think the most surprising player is? Are you surprised the Canucks have done this good this year? And how far do you think they'll make it in the playoffs? But that'd be it for this episode of Canucks Digest. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go down, leave a like, leave a comment. You might be featured on the next episode of Comment of the Day. And what's your thoughts on everything I talked about? I know it's a lot to talk about, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. But with that, take care.